The Book of Exodus. Introduction. The word Exodus comes from the Greek term exodos, which means going out or departure. Here begins the story of liberation or departure of God's chosen people from the slavery of Egypt. The book of Exodus begins with the people in an alien land oppressed by a cruel Pharaoh. God defeats Pharaoh by a series of 10 plagues and brings the people to his holy mountain. Chapters 1 to 18. The second main portion of the book begins with a theophany at Mount Sinai. Moses is confirmed as their leader, and the covenant is established by giving the 10 commandments by Yahweh. Chapters 19 to 24. Instructions regarding construction of the sanctuary and its furnishings, priestly vestments and ordination, offerings and sacrifices, observance of the Sabbath are dealt with in chapters 25 to 31. Then follow the accounts of the golden calf and the renewal of the covenant, chapters 32 to 34. Chapters 35 to 40 describe how the divine instructions communicated to Moses regarding the construction of the sanctuary are carried out. When the construction of the sanctuary is completed, it is dedicated to Yahweh, who takes possession of it. The cloud covers the tent of meeting, and the glory of the Lord fills the tabernacle. Exodus brings out the power of God, freeing his people from the forces of evil and oppression. This is the key theme of the book of Exodus, which stands as a paradigm and pattern of God's activity in human history. The two basic themes of Israel's creed are God's bringing the people out of Egypt and bringing them into the promised land. The book of Exodus dramatizes and celebrates the first of this creed. By acting on behalf of the oppressed slaves, Yahweh became known and trusted as the great liberator. The people cry out in their oppression, and God hears their cry. He does not come to just pacify them, but He takes the initiative to free them from the bonds of slavery and leads them to the promised land. Second in importance is the motive of the covenant. The covenant is that relationship between Yahweh and Israel that is established on Mount Sinai. It is a personal bond by which Israel becomes Yahweh's people and Yahweh becomes Israel's God. It is this unique moral connection that gives Israel its identity among all the other peoples of the ancient Near East. Divine presence is a key theological theme of Exodus. Worship of God dominates several chapters of Exodus, which presents Israel as a worshipping community. The enormous amount of space dedicated to the instructions for building the sanctuary and their execution makes the awareness of God's presence in worship as a significant part of Israel's self-understanding. The directions for the celebration of the Feast of the Unleavened Bread also accentuate Israel's call to acknowledge its God in liturgy. Throughout the ages, even in the New Testament, biblical writers commented again and again on the Exodus event to throw new light on God's liberating power and intention. In the book of Exodus, the poor and the oppressed people can find a mirror to recognize their own problems, interpret their slaveries, both personal and social, and judge their efforts towards true freedom. Like the people of Israel, we too become God's covenant community through a continuing process of personal and social liberation.